a conversation that's been taking place for many years in this country, especially if you look at the Central Kenya region. Remember Governor Babayao and him saying, you know what, I'm going to come and close the bars. And he led the operation himself to go and shut bars down. And the other one where, you know, communities coming together and just making noise and wondering, so how come this is happening? We have a proliferation of some other unscrupulous kind of drink that people are just taking one sip and they are done. One sip and they are gone. And you're wondering, why is this happening? So these conversations have taken place. The president, the former president, Uhuru Kenyatta, even hosting a meeting in State House and saying, we have got to deal with the problem of alcohol in this country. We must deal with it. This time, it's come up with the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua. And just recently, he was talking about the same thing and saying, we have a problem with alcohol in this country, and especially if you look at many of our counties. Remember the senator for Kericho County, Aaron Cheruiyot, personally leading a campaign against some certain brewers and distillers of alcoholic drinks, and saying these guys are spoiling our youth. So it's a big problem in the country. NACADA was established because of alcoholism. In fact, the first boss of NACADA, the former PC, Joseph Kagode, used to say, our big problem in this country with substance abuse is actually alcohol abuse. Many years ago, more than 10 years ago. So we are still at that conversation. Now, Reggie G has come and said, you know what, I'm an honest man. I sleep late, I wake up early. I don't take alcohol. Why should you?
Well, he has said it. He sleeps early, wakes up early, he doesn't take alcohol.
Yeah.
So does he want us to give him our own testimony? We don't sleep early.
Wake up late,
we don't wake up.
Take alcohol.
Yes.
This is how we operate. So he's basically proposing to the counties. You know, the counties are the ones that license, the liquor licensing boards in the counties, and saying, you, look, in some areas you are finding that you are receiving so many applications for restaurants, so many applications for bars, so many applications for things that are called nightclubs. And you're like, licensing all of them. Start restricting these things. It's better for the community. It's better for people to see you go to a certain town and it's not just bar, church. Bar, church, bar, church. Butchery.
Boarding and lodging.
Boarding and lodging is behind the bar.
And the butchery.
Apo inje is boarding and lodging. You can sleep wherever.
You know, every time I hear these stories, Erica, the thing that comes to mind is that the focus, it doesn't matter whether it was the former President Uhuru Kenyatta or the people who've dealt with it, the focus is on the symptom, not the problem. The question is, why is it that there is excessive consumption of alcohol? That's the question. Not consumption, excessive. Yeah. Why is it?
Why is
and why do we see it among the youth? What we call unscrupulous businessmen see an opportunity. And this thing didn't begin yesterday. This thing began a long time ago. There were even licensed institutions that produced alcohol in this country. And there was a hue and cry about some of the products that they had. Huge hue and cry. Now, alcohol in many, many communities have been a social product that people consume responsibly. But look at the way we handle alcohol. Look at the way we treat issues around alcohol.
Yeah.
You begin by demonizing the product, and then everything from that point onwards just goes downhill. Instead of addressing it responsibly and saying, okay, folks, this is what we need to consider about this. Yes.
Our guest is Michael Mudhami. He's the national chairman of the Pubs, Entertainment, Joint and Restaurants Association of Kenya, PERAC. He's in the studio. Good morning, Michael.
Morning.
Good to have you on the show.
Thank you very much.
Karibu sana. Pole, you got late. You know, this thing of expressway exit, entering, it gets everybody. But it's good to have you here.
Thank you. At least traffic maybe shows there's some money in people's pockets, yes, which is good for our bottom lines.
The best indicator of money in people's pockets is your bottom line.
Yes. and traffic jams. It means people are driving.
People are driving.
And many too.
And many. And how much pubs are making in a single day?
Pubs are not doing too well at the moment. but we are hoping. Yes.
Pubs are not doing too well at the moment.
No.
Well-
Like everything else, I think
What is
the
not doing
amount
too
of
well?
money in people's pockets is, you cannot compare what's happening now with the amount of still closures happening. You saw yesterday Njogona's closing. So it's just across the board.
So
We are
everybody-
hanging on.
yeah. Everybody's suffering a little bit of something. Economy's not doing too well. Everybody's struggling a little bit. The last time you were here, there was an issue because in Nairobi, they said, okay, look, we're going to only operate till a certain time. And it's barely a month, 2 months down the line. And now the deputy president is saying, okay, even those of you who are there, let's just restrict it in towns to one licensed one. So it seems as though you guys have been taking
He went back on his words.
hit after hit.
A bit, please. He went back on his words and clarified and blamed it obviously on the media.
Of course.
Eh?
So what is the
You mean
latest?
to say?
I cannot put words in his mouth, but I think what he was talking about was what he deemed to be the problem, which, to be honest, we do not deem to be the problem. Which I thought he said he was thinking that there is clubs that are there 24 hours, people are drinking all night, and that's not the case. These people he's talking about, the young men, and now sadly women, who are inflicted with this sad state which we have of, he was talking about alcoholism as a problem, although I don't like to talk about that, is that their drinking is not, you'll find someone drunk, yes, in those two small towns in the morning, 9 o'clock. He's not been drinking the whole night, or she's not been drinking the whole night. They have woken up in the morning to go drink. And they have looked for, majority of them, I'd say go as far as 80 to 90% of those people have drunk from an unlicensed joint, first of all.
Okay.
The alcohol they're drinking is illicit. I'd say 75% of the time is illicit. The person Rigiji is going for and discussing, I think they have to do some sort of check behind where they're getting the alcohol from.
But is that
what
a
they're
problem,
drinking.
Michael?
Huge,
Is that a
huge problem.
And so is it possible that that is the premise from which he's coming from? That you go into some of these communities and you see people, it doesn't matter. If you wake up in the morning at 5 o'clock and go take a shot of something, there's an issue.
Yes.
Right? And if,
But he's
if what is
the
being-
people he's
sorry,
attacking.
Let me just,
Sorry.
So if people are coming out and doing this and we see a proliferation of it,
Yes.
that's a problem. But are you saying now the connect is the people then who are properly licensed should not all be bundled up now in this problem?
Yes, because it's not us who are creating that problem. First of all, let's help each other with Rigi and the government and everything. The huge problem, they have a huge problem right now with collecting money.
Who?
The government.
Okay.
They are looking, that's why they are trying to raise our taxes on everything. As it stands, the taxes they could be collecting from these counterfeit and illicit products that these people are now drinking in order to get them where they are. I was hearing I actually did some investigation into this. We are looking at 100 billion shillings a year in Kenya. That is on counterfeit. When we go further to add on, that is all items, yeah, that are counterfeit. It's about 100 billion that's afflicting our country at the moment. When you go to add the ones with fake stamps, you go to add the illicit ones, you go towards what they call, is it unregulated or something like that. It goes to almost 1 trillion shillings. That's where the money is. Why can't you look for the money there? That, by this I mean this is on everything, yeah? Yes.
It's
When
on
you
all
come to
counterfeits in the
alcohol,
country. Yeah.
I'll give it a figure, it's 86 billion a year.
Okay. Where are they sold? They're sold in pubs. Are they sold
that
in
is the
homes?
whole problem.
Where are they
These
sold?
are unlicensed little places
pubs.
and we're holding the walls, hidden places.
Are you
where
sure,
the
Michael?
100%.
Are you
This-
telling me, Michael, that there are
right,
no pubs?
We were in Parliament last year
No
about
pubs
this.
that are licensed, that have a permit from the local authority to
Okay.
operate a liquor license,
Okay.
that none of them sells counterfeit, grey, illicit alcohol.
obviously you're gonna find one or two jambazis in the area.
You know, I think
100%.
I think what he's asking is, are you sure it's just one or two?
For sure. Because let me tell you something. The one thing I give these big companies like EABL and whatever, when you look at the Senator Keg places, to keep their markets and to keep their products being sold in those places, they have got a better detective guys in their security than even the government. So to sell that illicit there, they'll be caught quick smart.
Okay.
So you get, I don't know whether we have obviously people closing their eyes to a few things because of corruption and whatever it is. You have, but consider this: our counterfeit, illicit market on alcohol in this country is 50%.
Say that again.
50%.
Okay.
So
let's just clarify this.
Illicit.
Just say, explain. So when you say the content is 50%, meaning the alcohol that is available in the market today,
half of it is illicit.
Half of it is illicit.
Half of it is illicit, yes.
Okay.
Because
and it's only sold in
those
establishments.
no, but majority, let's be honest. We are pretty. I'm not going to go all the way to buy the licenses, to do everything, to pay for all those things, and then put a counterfeit. It's against. It does not even make sense.
How do you know it's counterfeit to begin with? Because if there's a bottle, and the drink is green in color, and the label is the same, how do you tell it's counterfeit?
A maestro or connoisseur.
Okay.
And, through taste, okay, that's one.
The after effects of said.
Some differences, obviously.
So as a seller, how would you know?
As a seller, I suppose you'd have experience on one hand, feedback from your customers in case there was a mistake on the line or somewhere. It's the truth. But majority of those things are sold knowingly. All this, what we were calling, is it fourth generation alcohol and whatever, where people were going around collecting bottles and then refilling them.
Yeah.
We had the alcohol coming from Tanzania at night through the porous border. When we had an issue with I remember there's a time we had an issue with the Jameson, like 5 years ago. When they're coming with the trailers from Tanzania, seriously. So this is a problem from within the government. There's officials, obviously, who are being paid off.
All that is happening.
Yes.
As an association, because now you bring together, it's a membership association.
Yes, it's a BMO. Yes.
Pubs, restaurants, and entertainment joints.
Yes.
They come together and they join this association for various reasons, among them advocacy and others.
Yes.
Do you have measures of ensuring that all your members adhere to the said laws and stipulated laws, that you can also even point out even non-members who are doing bad business, that there's a reporting mechanism?
Okay, if we talk about our association itself, we've got an ethics document which you sign when you come in, and give some sort of
undertaking to live by the code, and do clean business.
Yes. But if we're honest, we have a lot of unscrupulous people out there.
Okay.
And all the way through our, I think, value chains, be it alcohol, food, we are busy eating bad food. It's just something very sad. I think when I was younger, I don't think this was there. It's just we have lost that utu, I think, amongst ourselves. And we have people whose just mindset is only about making money.
So when the Deputy President says, let's you as local authorities, as the liquor licensing boards, check the number of establishments that you license to operate as bars and as nightclubs. What's wrong with that?
Why are you getting involved with open markets? Isn't your job as a government? Because
but your job as a government is you're a regulator. That's why you're a licensing
the
board.
proliferation of bars does not mean more people drink. And that's a fallacy.
What does it mean?
Yeah. Just because here there would be a line of 10 supermarkets doesn't mean there's more people shopping.
You
It
just
just
told us
means-
if there are more
just let me
cars on the
finish.
road, there's more money. I mean,
Yeah, in people's
that's-
pockets.
You're using that
In people's
logic.
pockets, though that is not the same at all. Apples and oranges. If there's a line of supermarkets here, 20 of them, that doesn't mean that there are going to be more. It just means that me as a customer, I now have choice. And the person who's giving the best experience or whatever is the one who will get the clients.
But you know-
You'll find a bar there, it will be closed by attrition, not by government regulation. Yeah, you don't have the nice chairs. You'll not have customers for 3 months. You'll close yourself. Yeah.
But you know-
why is government trying to get involved in open market?
Okay, but
Why?
Michael, the example you've given of supermarkets, or any business for that matter, any business, serious business individual, will do a great deal of fact finding before not only open an establishment but at a certain location.
Yes.
Okay. Now, because that is the case, are you saying therefore that when it comes to the business that you yourself are in, that this is not done, that they open simply because maybe somebody has money, is thinking of what business to do, and so they open a pub?
100%. We have a very big issue with that in our business, where everyone who's retiring thinking, what do I do? Do I buy a matatu? Do I open a bar? Hapo ndo nilisikia kuna pesa. It is a problem we have. And that's why one of our major advocacy things is about pushing for investment in education to people who are even retiring and whatever, to give them. We have a program for bar owner training. You come, we teach you, because maybe this is not for you. The issue we have, the professionalism in this business, I'd say people who are, I'm in the hospitality industry.
Yep.
Out of 100%, we have maybe 45. The rest are just pure investors.
55% are just people who have money.
People who-
They're looking for a return.
Yes.
Okay. Now, using the same logic of attrition, if they get into that business without putting in everything else in place, customer will move.
We'll move.
Customer will not be with them.
And
So when you see them proliferating and opening and remaining open for a year, it's because customer has come
Yes.
for one reason or the other. Maybe you don't have good stools, but you have cheaper alcohol for whatever reason. It could be the counterfeit one, or you have better service, right? Whatever reason, it's keeping that pub open. Now that is what you're calling the open market. I mean, it's a free market economy. Let it all thrive. But then, how do you balance that and the scourge in the society? If there's an issue of the ease with which people are accessing alcohol.
Now, thank you very much. You brought up a very valid point. The ease which you have said of people getting or accessing alcohol has nothing to do with the number of bars or what it is. It has to do with the administration that is in place, effecting the rules that are already there. Yeah, the issue now there's a bar there, he's got an 11 p.m. license.
Yep.
Chief, polisi, watu wamekula pesa. That bar is open until 12 or 1.
Or the next
Who's
enforcing?
Who's the problem here?
It's the enforcement.
Yes. So we also have to come to terms.
So we're also saying that it does, even if there was, look, if you're not tightening the rules, even if there was one bar in the community, people are still going to find a way to get this.
In fact, it's going to be worse.
Alcohol, right?
It can be
Because
an
now-
entire, that bar can be an entire street. It's the same bar.
There's one bar. It's a kilometer long of bar.
But
Right.
that already, the issues I have with that already are gargantuan. Because what we are doing is we are going to create monopolies where there'll be no freedom of price
Sure.
to the customer. There'll be no access to because there's only one bar. If they're only selling Kenya breweries, they're only selling Kenya breweries. That kills other businesses.
Sure.
Yeah, You'll come, you can't get into the fridge.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a non-starter anyway. But I don't even. Rigiji came back and said that's not what he meant. So I think that's a non-starter. Yes.
Let's take a break.
Yeah.
We'll come back and continue the conversation. Michael Mudami is the national chairman of the Pubs Entertainment Joints Restaurants Association of Kenya, PERAC. He's here to talk about this business of pubs and restaurants.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Michael, if you'll remember what the Kericho senator was doing a couple of weeks ago, where he was leading the youth in raiding these places and saying these people are making illicit alcohol and selling it to the market. And this has been a complaint everywhere. Even Babayao was doing the same thing, leading those raids where they would go. And this time it's not about changa, which everything has been thrown into it. You'll find a yam, toner, clothes, and some brown looking thing. It's not that. It is actually some proper distillery.
Still stuff, man.
With clear stuff. And they're saying that this is all illicit, illegal, counterfeit, everything, all manner of things. Why is there such a proliferation of those supposed cheap drinks in the market?
I suppose we might just be honest ourselves and say demand. If there was no demand, there would be no supply. These people would not be making billions.
So it's the demand for that drink, or is the demand for a drink?
No, it's the demand for a drink that that someone with an empty pocket can pay for. The issue here is cost. Let's just be honest with ourselves. There is no the average person right now, I think, cannot afford 2 to 3 beers a day. The way they used to relax, have a couple of beers. It's been pushed out of the pocket of the average Mwananchi. We've had 3 excise duty increments in the last 12 months or so. 2 inflationary ones, 1 for the budget. We were in Parliament last year. We've gone with from the KPMGs of this world and everything, shown them why Tanzania is, the president talked about Tanzania is doing so much. You can show them exactly why the government is collecting so much money by taking less. While here, the mindset is just add.
You're the one who said they're looking for money.
So it's taxation.
Yes, but that's the thing. It's counterintuitive. If they were to reduce the excise with this budgetary cycle they're doing, let's say for the drink that is sold most and has got the biggest earner of revenue for the government tax-wise, which is Senator,
okay,
or for East Africa breweries, the one they call a keg.
Yeah.
Reduce excise on that, the taxes would go up. It's simple mathematics. The Laffer curve shows exactly what is going wrong. But I think there are just some poor treasury who they only know one direction.
Just walk us through this. So you're saying that if the excise tax is lowered, what will happen? People will consume
because
more.
The cost will reduce.
And if the cost reduces...
Yes. There are people who are knocked off Senator
because of the cost
and are now drinking those illicit drinks.
They'll come back there.
They'll come back there. It's something they know the
quality.
The quality, know it's coming from. It's available everywhere. And it's not only breweries that make these cakes. There's also from other people. Yeah? So that's why I'd say I was here for breweries. But
they're independent
brewers.
Yes.
And that would just increase the amount of competition, everything. Just tax things the way they're supposed to be taxed. You'll get the revenue you're going to get. The government would not be complaining. Now, what they've pushed over to illicit, I'll give you an example. I think I had some figures somewhere. Illicit brews account for 490 million litres being consumed every year in this country. The government is losing about 85 billion on that alcohol in revenue. What 85 billion can do a lot for us, if we are being honest.
Okay. So what does it look like? What should it look like? If we can just look at it, we are saying that there's a demand for this alcohol.
Yes.
We're not saying there's a demand for the illicit brew.
No.
What we're saying is that there's a demand for alcohol, but there's a demand for alcohol that is affordable for the majority of folks.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Now, what has happened is that people then who are producing, manufacturing, right, then are manufacturing at a cheaper cost. It's not licensed because then again, ease of doing business does not exist then for them.
Yes.
So it's somebody with a distiller in the backyard of his wherever doing something and then packaging the stuff. It's got a label on it. People are buying it for, huge difference between that and what has actually been licensed.
Yes.
Right? So what are we saying now? That the call then is upon government to say, ease business for these guys. Let them be able to compete in this market and deliver, because they're doing it anyway. They're delivering this brew for a cheap price. They're going through the process. It's clean stuff, like we said. It's packaged properly. So are we saying essentially, allow them into the market legally, properly, with the right channels. You make more money as government, and then everybody can be happy. Is that what you're saying, Michael?
No, there's a pitfall there. There's the people who are already registered and making alcohol right now. There's a very high. They've been taxed out of competition. Number one, there are people who are making what you're talking now under the table.
Yep.
Of these people who are making under the table, first of all, we have to get into a way, if they want to come into the market, just the way I think probably the president was talking about, if you find a building, don't knock it down. If he's talking about taxes, then get these people, standardize their product. If it's not, close them down. Yes, or close them down, make sure they're standardized. Then if they're there, they opened quite a few of
This
them that had been
government
closed down.
does not go after hustlers who are trying to make a living. we are not fighting.
We are just being taxed out of our businesses. But you see now this tax is now both national government, county government. I think we are just tired at the end of the day. I'm surprised we are not having a revolution.
Do you think, Michael, there are some brewers out there, people who are producing alcohol, but they are getting into the market cheaper because they are not putting their required stamps?
100%.
So there are those who are they're actually producing
that's
legit.
illicit. Yes.
They're producing proper legit drinks.
Yes.
They've gone through everything. They have KEB certification and everything. The only thing they're not doing is that excise at the final point.
Or maybe one for me, one for you.
Yeah.
For sure, I'm sure. That's why I think KRA, which I thought they had already done, because I had always assumed there was a KRA officer stationed at each of our major brewers on the lines.
Now they're saying they'll do it.
They'll do it themselves.
Yes.
Which is interesting, since it's not a brand new thing. There was always a KRA officer there. So I don't know if now they're just adding the number of KRA officers to be bribed or what they're doing. So we just need better fiscal policy from the government.
What do you think needs to be done about the alcoholism problem? Because it is a problem. We know that there's a side of business where, look, the president spoke about it, the deputy president spoke about it. There's a side of business where this tax needs to be collected. But there's also an underlying issue here. We're looking at people easily consuming more alcohol over the last 2-3 years in this country. Young people as well, compared to the last 10 years. I mean, we've looked at the numbers. It's true that there is a problem. And he alluded to such. What do you think needs to be done about this particular issue? And could that be perhaps, whether it was a latent call or otherwise, to say, look, guys, too many people are, consuming and, behaving in a manner that they shouldn't be? It's a problem, isn't it, Michael?
Personally, I'm not one to put restrictions on people's what people do with their lives, number one. So I'm not one who will be there to tell you to stop drinking. I have actually been involved because I also have family members who we have been down that path. Yes, where you can actually see someone slowly finishing.
Yep.
Literally, you see them becoming so. You see someone finishing before your eyes, and the underlying cause you are saying is alcohol. find someone has some diseases, whatever, diabetes, whatever it is. It is an issue in our society. And I think you cannot, let's move away from this, our businesses, and talk about as humans.
Yeah.
I say, the problem is deeper, and it's the ills and the way our society has moved, in my opinion. We have families that don't talk to each other anymore. We have if you see the clips that have been going around about, like the lady in Muranga saying, was asked, your husbands are coming, they're beating you, they're drunk. She said, no. They enter, we beat them, then we scream that they're beating us. So, so it's just ills, even though it's on a light note. We have a lot of ills that are going on in our society, alcoholism being one of them. Why don't we treat the root causes?
Sure.
Why are all these people who are having time to drink, why are they not at work? They don't have jobs.
All right.
Depression was not such something talked about 15 years ago. Now everybody is saying they have depression. And this self-reflection of people I think we have gone through a point where now people are more self-aware, and they are treating their ills maybe with too much alcohol or drugs or whatever it may be.
And this is a cart before the horse before the cart story here, because if you look at what most people will say they're going through, what they call depression, they're probably just stressed. You are in a situation and you don't know how to get out of it. You don't know the way forward. You actually can't see beyond the day. And this constant situation of hopelessness or helplessness brings about what people now refer to as depression. Okay? But essentially, you're worried out of your wits. You don't know what to do. Now, alcohol does offer a very brief relief. Consumed in copious amounts, it also offers a hangover thereafter. Okay? But alcoholism is not drunkenness. Alcoholism is a disease. People who are alcoholics are people whose systems actually cannot manage alcohol. They don't need to drink a whole crate to be drunk. They'll take 2 sips and they have a problem.
That's it.
So when people talk of alcoholism, people talk of drunkenness or what you call abuse of alcohol. Sometimes it's a thin line, but our reference usually is to the excessive consumption of alcohol. And that is a problem, because that feeling of euphoria that any drug gives you is what someone wants to be. That state is something they desire to have constantly. So what is it that they did not want to confront or face? Because these are not social drinkers. These are not people who have a drink to whose preference is as opposed to a cup of tea, they'll have a bottle of beer or a glass of wine. These are people who need to drink. So it's something that the government avoids talking about.
And it must deal with it.
Yes.
At a national level. It's a conversation. I mean, they've been told our mental health situation in the country is
catastrophe.
What did the task force call it? A national emergency.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's already been, the government has been advised by a team that the government set up. And a team of experts came and said, declare this thing a national emergency so that then you can dedicate resources towards addressing it.
Yes.
The government has not. There was Mutahi Kagwe. There is now, what's her name? Nafula Nakhimicha. There's CS. There's a new government, there's a new president, there's a new PS, the same DG, the same DG for health. But they have not done anything about it. That's something, and we agree with you, Michael, that yes, the government ought to do this thing. Now, you, as people who are actually dealing with the people who are consuming alcohol, and you can be said you're the people who are actually facilitating the access to alcohol for these people, what do you do? Like, is there any awareness program that you have, campaign that you have? Do you have anything like, we have a policy in our pub, if you come in and you have gotten to a certain level of drunkenness, we will not sell you anymore? Do you have such kind of things? We will put you in a taxi, or we have a room at the back where you will sleep. you can give you a place to sleep. Do you have such?
Yes, we do.
Uh-huh.
And we have been, we usually do them in conjunction with our trade partners. Sometimes, like now, the last one we had with the taxi, we had something, the taxi thing, had the NTSA, ABAC. Those programs, they come in, come out, running maybe this year on, this year. With COVID, I think there was quite a bit of a slowdown of a lot of programs.
Okay.
So I think we'll start seeing those things coming up from now.
Do you have any program to support rehab services, like rehab centers? You know your customer, and you know this customer, but the level they've gotten, maybe they need help, and maybe they're just not able to get that help from elsewhere. We can recommend, so you can support rehab services.
We do it, you'll think it's a convoluted way, but through our liquor license. Our liquor licenses, which I'll give Nakada one thing, is that when even it was devolved, it became a fund. It's not money that goes to the treasury. The core mandate of that fund is to mitigate such things. So they're supposed to be building rehab centers, whether they've been built or not, it's another story altogether.
Okay.
But that's the main job of that fund. So when you pay that liquor license, like I'll give, for example, I pay 80,000 a year, that money is supposed to go directly to those jobs. That's what that money is there
That's
for.
a fund for that.
There is a fund for that.
Okay.
Yes.
Now,
so
as
if
the
you calculate me, that's one. Calculate the number of bars.
the number of bars in Kenya.
It adds up.
fund
No.
should be-
It's at the funds at county level.
At county level.
So
every
in
county
Nairobi,
that you look at,
it's
the
a
number
few. It's a good few 100 million. But show me how many rehab centers we have.
What does your lobby do to advocate for such? Because you know very well that this is for the welfare of your customers.
I'd be very honest.
Advocate
We
for
have
better use of these funds, these resources. You've got the muscle. You are Perak. You are known countrywide.
That is well and good. As you can see from even last time I was here, we are fighting the same fights, whether it be about
The noise that you make.
whatever it is. So these same governors that when we get to the table to discuss with them, now you want me to get into their slush funds.
Yes.
Actually, we do.
Yes.
Actually, we do, because when you talk about some of these funds, there's one which is even more serious than yours. Okay? It's called the sports fund. Now, that one has, it's like discussed for another day, it has so much money, nobody wants to talk about it. But we must talk about these things, because what we're discussing here is a national a catastrophe.
Yeah.
It has to be discussed. So if there's money that was specifically allocated to try and alleviate or to try and provide a path to a solution to the problems that have been brought, because it is not the alcohol that brings the problem. It is the problem that people have that leads them to the drinking of alcohol. It's not the other way around. Yes.
Although if there was an actual, we would be very for the president creating a national task force to actually now do one thing we don't have. We have snippets and bits here of data. There is no real data set that has been collected like through the government for a lot of the things that we need information for. So even if they were to say it's a national emergency and put resources, they would not even know where to start. I'll be very honest, because they don't have the data.
Part of that will be to start collecting data. You see, once you declare it a national emergency, then you say, first, we need to know. We need to know the lay of the land. We are going into a data collection. When AIDS was declared a national emergency, they started that, collecting data, knowing what are we talking about, what are we dealing with, how do we respond. Basically, what I am pushing for Perak to do is, as an advocacy group, as a lobby, right? Much as you're lobbying, yes, for the welfare of your members, also lobby for the welfare of some of your members are also part of the people who suffer alcoholism.
Yes.
And your customers, your number one stakeholder, is affected.
Yes.
You have the muscle. How much lobbying can you do to make sure that this money that you are paying every year, Michael, you're paying 80,000 shillings every year, it goes to some kitty somewhere, that kitty actually benefits the people it ought to benefit?
Let's hope the money gets where it's supposed to
You
go.
know, here you are paying the piper here. So you can actually call
the tune.
Let's hope so. We try, let's see.
Okay.
I've had some good things in the pipeline about what's happening there now. I think they want to become serious about these things. I think there are a couple of people there from the governor's office, the liquor board, who are trying now, because of all these issues we had, to show that there is work being done.
Okay.
So I've had some good things, hopefully. And as they say, Nairobi is the beginning. If they start seeing stuff happen in Nairobi,
It will spread.
it will spread.
All right.
Yeah.
Your final message, Michael.
On this topic, I think it would be just let us do our business in peace, reduce the taxes. I know there's stamps that, I don't know if you guys have talked about the increase in excise stamps.
Yeah.
That's coming. And we are putting in our submissions, I think on the 3rd of February or 7th, something like that. It's just for the government to actually take into account the lay of the land, what's happening right now. If their point is to collect more taxes, they should have a look at the taxes collected in the last 3 months. They should look at alternatives, like going after this illicit. The last 3 months, they had, I think, collected illicit alcohol, like 280 billion worth. Yeah. All this is money they're trying to look for, but they have it in their hands. They're just not.
Just spin it.
Just spin it. Do something about it. Don't go out. Let us reduce that excise. Let's sell more alcohol to the people who need to be sold, who are drinking that illicit, who are drinking somewhere, they drink, they say, even if you put off the lights, we'll still continue drinking. That time it's the ice that went. Yeah, let them drink things that at least have a keb stamp.
Okay. Basically, just make it conducive for you to do your business.
Yes.
Don't harass the hustler.
Don't harass the hustler. I know there might be some moral issues about alcohol, but still, even Jesus had a drink. He turned water into wine.
You know, we're told he turned water into...
did he drink?
We told he
Drink
drank
the
it.
wine.
Well, he endorsed the drink. That's the point.
No,
Michael.
I am of Mofea, so we believe that he was dishing out that wine with a slice of
Michael
bread.
Mudami, chairman of PERAC. Thank you for joining us. Keep it here for more. Good morning.